This podcast is made possible by you, the supporters of WPLN and WNXP, Nashville Public Radio.
This is the Nashvillager Podcast. It's September 25th, 2024. It was 50 years ago on this day that scientists first warned the world the gases used in things like refrigerators and aerosol cans of hairspray were destroying the Earth's ozone layer. Research over the next few years showed more details, like the fact that each year a profoundly thin portion, colloquially called a hole, would develop in the ozone layer over Antarctica, and that it was getting bigger each year thanks to those gases called chlorofluorocarbons, or CFCs for short. The ozone layer helps protect us from the most damaging of the sun's rays, so having less of it poses a direct risk to pretty much everyone and everything. A little over a decade after that first finding was announced, an international agreement called the Montreal Protocol banned the production of CFCs. That went into effect in 1989. So teenage girls put down the Aquanet, switched to pump bottles of hairspray, started to kind of rein in the size of their hair bit by bit. And before too long, manufacturers were selling products that used other, less harmful gases. I'm Nina Cardona, and this is your daily digest of what's happening around Middle Tennessee from Nashville Public Radio, WPLN News. The ozone layer is actually something of a success story. People went pretty quickly through the cycle of disbelief, acceptance, and then on to action. And over the last decade, assessments have determined that the ozone layer is healing. It's not a done deal. There's still plenty more improvement necessary, but things are moving in the right direction. Changing our habits, changing the products we use made a measurable difference. Now the focus of concern has shifted to a bigger, more threatening, and more complex problem of climate change. And this time, the scientists say we need to change our habits on a much larger scale. This time, the problem isn't in cans of hairspray and spray paint. It's in the way we burn fossil fuels to move around from place to place, or even just to make our electricity. And if you've been listening to this podcast or to WPLN newscasts, you know that our environmental reporter, Caroline Eggers, has been keeping a very close eye on the way the Tennessee Valley Authority makes its power. Now, it's been a while since I clarified who TVA is, and I know that a lot of people tend to forget why it matters. You may not think it's your utility since you don't pay any bills to TVA, but if you live in Middle Tennessee, your power was made by TVA. It's where your local utility gets its electricity. So the end effect of anything that TVA does or decides is coursing through the walls of your house, charging up your phone and powering your fridge. And increasingly, TVA wants to make that power from methane gas, or as they like to call it, natural gas. The other day, Caroline had a story about how the utility has announced plans for yet another new gas-powered plant, the 9th such announcement in the last 4 years. And her previous reporting on findings from the Center for Biological Diversity told us the executives who run TVA have financial incentives that effectively push them towards this dependence on fossil fuels. Now, for a while, TVA leadership was in a really weird position, without enough board members to form a quorum. During Donald Trump's time in the White House, he fired 2 board members and let another couple of seats go unfilled. With so few on the oversight board, the CEO of TVA had way more decision-making power than is supposed to be the case, and he was a driving force for the expansion of gas-fueled plants. There was some hope that things would change when President Biden restored the board to full power, but it's been a year and a half since he added 6 new board members, and the parade of new gas plant projects just gets longer. But the latest report from Caroline suggests things could potentially start to make a turn. Remember how I said there are incentives in place that reward TVA executives for keeping fossil fuels in the mix? Well, now there are new incentives, and these offer cash for adding renewables and batteries to the grid. It's a baby step, but we have seen that incentives can make a definite impact. And TVA definitely has lots of room for growth, with several established and well-understood technologies, like solar and wind power. In just a few minutes, this week's edition of What Wear Wednesday features the intersection between the arts and making a tangible difference in the community. That's coming up after the newscast.
Thematic Static on WNXP is the mixtape we make together, a themed set loosely organized by you, the listener, handpicking songs according to a theme. Airing first Thursdays at 9 a.m. and again Saturdays at 9 a.m., Thematic Static plucks your requests from the socials at WNXP Nashville and by voice memo at 615-320-9100. Thematic Static, the mixtape we make together, supported by United Record Pressing, only on WNXP.
Here's the latest from WPLN News. The mother of a survivor of the Covenant School shooting spoke at a congressional meeting in Washington, D.C. this week. Melissa Alexander told members of the House Oversight Committee about the mental health challenges faced by survivors of mass shootings.
A mass shooting is something you do not get over. Places, sounds, smells, fire alarms, remembering those lost become daily reminders of something that should not have ever been. The stress on your family becomes unbearable at times.
Alexander says mass shooting survivors and their families experience higher rates of depression, loneliness, learning loss, and divorce. She stressed the need for bipartisan legislation to keep guns away from potentially dangerous people. Alexander is considered running for the Tennessee state legislature as a Republican, but the Congress members she spoke to at the meeting were all Democrats. While Alexander was speaking to Congress, the Covenant School announced some new developments. The Tennessean reports the school plans to relocate when its lease ends in 3 years. The newspaper cites a statement from officials with the school and Covenant Presbyterian Church, which founded and supports the school. The organizations are launching a capital campaign and search for a new campus location. School officials did not give a reason for deciding to relocate. The Covenant School was founded in 2001 and has about 200 students enrolled in grades K through 6. Criminal charges have been dropped against Russ McCamey, owner of McCamey Manor, an extreme horror attraction. He was arrested in July on charges of second-degree attempted murder, rape, and domestic violence involving a woman identified as his girlfriend. The Tennessean reports the charges were dropped on Monday. But those aren't the only legal cases related to McCamey Manor. The Tennessee Attorney General launched an investigation of the haunted house after it garnered national attention for extremely intense and unsafe scare tactics. It was also featured in a Hulu documentary. McCamey has sued a participant in that film who accused the attraction of abusing and scamming people. Those cases are ongoing. Blue Cross Blue Shield of Tennessee and Vanderbilt University Medical Center reached an agreement this summer to make sure patients could continue paying in-network prices. WPLN's health reporter Catherine Sweeney tells us the deal did not include members using Medicare Advantage. They will lose in-network status at the end of the year.
Blue Cross Blue Shield and VUMC issued statements saying the decision to go out of network for Medicare Advantage members was mutual. The companies will send patients letters about the split this week. It's unclear how many patients will be affected. Each organization says the change won't affect other Blue Cross members. Neither side explained the falling out. Medicare Advantage allows private insurance companies to manage coverage for about half of America's seniors. But there's a growing trend of medical providers, like hospitals, to drop Medicare Advantage plans. Becker's Hospital Review reports at least 25 providers nationwide are dropping Medicare Advantage groups this year. Those include plans under Humana, United Healthcare, and Aetna. Trade groups like the American Hospital Association say that insurance companies are more likely to pay late or refuse coverage for Medicare Advantage members. Catherine Sweeney, WPLN News.
Middle Tennessee can now boast 4 Michelin key-winning hotels. This is only the second year Michelin is awarding keys in the United States. Like Michelin stars, the keys designated a hotel as among the best in the world. 3 hotels received 1 key. South Hall and Farm Inn, a hotel in Hermitage that's also a working farm. 1 Hotel Nashville, which boasts environmentally friendly facilities. And Soho House Nashville, a renovated industrial building. The century-old Hermitage Hotel downtown received 2 keys. The Michelin Guide says 1 and 2 key hotels are some of the best in their region. 3 key hotels are worth a special trip just to stay there. The New York Times' much-anticipated annual restaurant list dropped yesterday, and of the 50 featured spots from across the country, 2 Tennessee establishments made the cut. Bad Idea is a new wine bar in East Nashville that serves Laotian fusion from a head chef who once worked under Sean Brock. And the Kurdish restaurant Edessa has become a flagship on Nolensville Pike since opening in 2018. You'll find more news anytime at WPLN.org. Artists with a mind for representation, equity, and just plain speaking up are gathering in Nashville this weekend, and Marquise Munson has the lowdown.
I'm Marquise Munson here with another edition of Nashville Public Radio's What Were Wednesday, keeping you up to date with the happenings in Nashville this week. Kicking things off tomorrow night with Backyard Sessions, curated by WNXP at the Bobby Hotel Rooftop Lounge with Brittany and Jalen Nganda.
In this night of starry sky, my baby told me with a sigh, saying words that came across as a doubt.
Additional music opportunities this week range from Pilgrimage, Kings of Leon at Bridgestone Arena, Guster at the Ryman, Krungben at Ascend Amphitheater, J.D. McPherson's Night Owls album release show at Brooklyn Bowl, and at the same venue, WNXP presents STR-FKR. For more events, head over to WNXP.org/events. This week for What Were Wednesdays, we discuss Show Yourself Music and Activation Fest happening this Sunday.
Hey, I'm Leah Light, and I'm a bit of a Jill of all trades, but I'm honored to be on the board of the Quiet Voice and co-producing the Show Yourself Festival.
My name is Alex Wong. I'm a musician and advocate in Nashville, and I started the Quiet Voice a few years ago that centered around sort of showcasing what I saw an opportunity and a need to showcase sort of the many definitions of what it means to be powerful, rather than the one that I felt like I grew up with primarily, which was this one that was like be the most aggressive in the room, be the person who can dominate the conversation, who can, hostile take over this and that and take up all the space in the room. And I felt, as somebody who didn't naturally gravitate towards those traits, often people would see people like that and be like, oh, that person isn't representing power in our culture. But it felt so off to me. And I felt like the people that I looked up to who were the most powerful, who got the most done, who were the most authentic, had the courage to be the most vulnerable and to speak their truth. It was just something I really wanted to start creating programming that would shine a light on some of these other definitions of power. And so all our programming has that intention.
Ice water and white tees, skin sticking to leather seats, cutting up the devil's pie, I kept a piece. Keep it G, if she wanna leave, I let her leave. We be outside all summer, sweating block to block, picking up traction. Now we going up to up, pillars like the parking lot.
The Show Yourself Festival, we've been calling it a music and activation festival, and really the intention is to bring people together through music and art. We really were intentional with curating these artists that we looked up to, but also who are leaders in our community. My music always sort of leans towards questions and things I think are important, and I feel like these artists that I admire, they write about that, and they're also being about that out in the community. And so we tried to find examples of that, ways that you can show up, and that's what the festival is all about. How can you show up both within and outside of the political system? Because we recognize that a lot of people, including ourselves, have been disillusioned sometimes with, nope, the only way you can participate is to get out the vote and phone bank and this and that. And that is one, wonderful avenue, but it's not the only one. And we don't want people's disillusionment to be equated with apathy. The event is totally free. It's free to the public. All of Nashville is welcome. All of outside of Nashville is welcome. It's at Turk, which is the Tennessee Immigrant Refugee Rights Coalition building, which is in South Nashville. We've got Mike Floss. We've got Ruby Amanfu, Vienna Tang. We've got Brassville. We've got Steph Jocks. It's going to be emceed by Courtney Warner, who's an incredible comedian in town.
I want to talk about the pain in my chest and the stress that I feel. I want to talk about the lies I've been told and the search for what's real.
So we did work with several of these artists through political events, saw that they continued to show up, once again, both within that system and outside of it. It's so cool to be working with many of them. People, especially like what Alex has created, he has created this project for people who are marginalized, who are overlooked, and that community doesn't just exist during election season. And that continued effort is so important. Taylor Swift, for example, I mean, through her art, she was able to drive nearly 400,000 people to register to vote, right? So we do have a lot of artists always show up. They're always there. They're hustling. They're creative. They're innovative. They are incredible. And they can move the needle in such incredible ways. I think Alex does that every day with his work. All of the artists on this bill do that with their work as well. So yeah, it's very important right now and forever.
For more information on Show Yourself Music Fest and other events happening this week, visit WNXP.org. My name is Marquise Munson, and thank you for listening to another edition of What Were Wednesdays.
I got the time, baby. You got the rhymes, baby. Don't get behind, baby. No matter what you do, don't pay no mind. Just look 'em in the eye. I see the signs, and they're pointing right back to you.
We do this roundup of Nashville news every weekday, so subscribe in your favorite podcasting app to make sure you never miss an episode. And if you like this, you'll probably enjoy the Nashvillager newsletter, too. You'll get perspective from more of my colleagues at Nashville Public Radio and links to the stories we're following. Sign up for those daily emails at WPLN.org/Nashvillager. And that's it for today. Thanks so much for listening. Let's make this day a good one, and we'll catch back up tomorrow.